Hey guys, TrueGreen7 here, and today I'm going to talk about unused Pokemon. These rejected Pocket Monsters were just a few of many Pokemon designs that Game Freak created. Even a few of these entries were further updated and added as Pokemon we know and love today. Whether these Pokemon were created solely for the Alpha and Beta games, or were redesigned later in production, I want to emphasize that I'm ordering this list based on the unused Pokemon that I personally find most interesting, and that I won't talk about every single known Beta Pokemon. But let's begin with... Number 10. Kurosu. It feels so weird saying names of scrapped Pokemon. In an alternate dimension, Kurosu could have been our Gen 2 Water-type starter. But all we know about Kurosu is its name and appearance. This water seal thing was used in the playable alpha demo of Pocket Monsters 2, which became Pokemon Gold and Silver. Interestingly, Kurosu looks like another Water-type Pokemon that is exclusive to the Magical Pokemon Journey manga. This Pokemon is Marin, and it was designed by a fan in a Draw Pikachu's Friend contest in Japan. I'm just interested in the concept of Kurosu because its design is so vague. It looks too incomplete, and I guess its design didn't really allow for further development. Or it was purposely created without any detail just so it could be used in the Gold and Silver Alpha and nothing else. The world will never know. Unless Ken Sugimori just came out and gave us a clear answer. Number 9. The Kokana family. By looking at little Kokana, it's obvious that his design was replaced with Weedle, and at some point they decided that it was a bee larva and based its evolution on bees. But what I think is interesting is how the bulbous nose that the two shared was originally going to stick with its evolutions Kasanagi and whatever this bug is called. It has no name, so I'm gonna call him Dave. But what I like about Dave here is that he looks like he's got a little fighting type in him, and I've always wanted a fighting cockroach Pokemon. Dave kinda looks like a bug version of Poliwrath, but we do see some mustachioed big-nosed bugs with a collar in Generation 4. Number 8. Ponokuma. Just like Kurosu, this fire bear was used in the alpha demo of the Pocket Monster sequel. Ponokuma was the fire-type starter and was in my personal opinion rejected because its resemblance to Pikachu. It really just looks like a fire-type Pikachu. At least its design is a little better than Kurosu. Ponokuma has potential. But forget about Ponokuma. I'm interested in what a final stage fire bear would look like. Number 7. Early version Torchic. Okay, we can all agree that Torchic's final design is pretty amazing. I just want to eat it up, maybe with some breadcrumbs and a little sauce. But did you know that Torchic originally had these flappy wings on its head, and some flame-shaped markings on the back of its head too? And going back to an even further sketch reveals that its beta design looked as if it was coming out of a newly hatched egg. These kind of sketches really make you appreciate the effort and refinement of the final Torchic design. I wonder if these ear flaps inspired Blaziken's hair or vice versa. Maybe his Mega Evolution's hair is a direct reference to this. Number 6. Unnamed Gen 2 Top Creature. Considering how Gen 2 ended up giving us an actual top Pokemon, it's safe to assume that this unreleased Pokemon gave its design and concept to Hitmontop, at the cost of its own existence. This Pokemon was used to promote the idea of a Pokemon sequel along with a prototype Tyranitar, 2 unused trainers, and a turtle that I'll talk about later. The whole concept of this Pokemon is pretty weird. Actually no, it's Japan. Japan is written all over this Pokemon. And is that head tumor a handle? Like the handle of a top? Once again, I can't tell you. Number 5. Electric Legendary Beast. Now I don't know how this image was retrieved, but from what I can gather, this beast was illustrated by Muneo Saito, a designer at Game Freak who helped design Pokemon like the 3 legendary beasts. I don't know if this was a beta design for Raikou or just an illustration made after Gold and Silver was released, maybe based on a different concept that Muneo had for Raikou. While I love the final designs of the legendary beasts and think that this design wouldn't have worked as an actual Pokemon, I still can't deny that it's interesting. But man, those lightning rods, I don't even know what to say. They're just wrong. Number 4. Prototype Treecko. This is incredible considering how I'm a big Treecko family fan, but the amount of information I can receive from this image is mind-boggling. First, the alpha design looks really close to an actual gecko, almost like the Geico gecko. His 2 bumps were always part of the concept, but I like how the final design is much cuter. We can see that the leaf blades that carry over into his evolutions were originally present. The red stripe that Sceptile has could have stemmed from the desire to give Treecko stripes or vice versa. This is the face of a cool dude. Number 3. Turtle Guy. So Turtle Guy here, just like Alpha Hitmontop, showed up in 1997 on the cover of a Japanese gaming magazine called Micro Group, alongside an unfinished Tyranitar and 2 trainers who have not been found. Please call your local authorities if you know their identities and or whereabouts. But I know where Turtle Guy went. His concept could have totally inspired Tortuga. I'm getting the same vibes from these two, so it would be so cool if they just reintroduced an old design. I love it when you find out that Pokemon were actually conceived way earlier than they were released. Like some of the Gen 2 Pokemon and even Shellos and Gastrodon, who were originally going to be in Generation 3. These 2 beta back sprites were found in Diamond and Pearl's data, and were probably how these 2 Pokemon would have looked if they were going to appear in Generation 3. So I really love these kinds of backstories. Number 2. All these prototype Gen 2 Pokemon. First we got Happa, who just like Kurosu and Honoguma, was a starter in the Gen 2 demo. But in its case, Happa actually looks pretty close to Chikorita, and it's definitely cool to see where a whole starter family started out. Here we have Meryl's original color scheme and shape, so I wonder if it was still intended to be a water type at this stage of development. Girafarig in its beta form is super interesting and really shows how the concept of a push me pull you was there from the beginning. I feel sorry for the downgrade that this giraffe got. Buku here, based on the Fugu, is Quillfish's prototype. Both take real-life aspects from the Fugu, but I personally think that Quillfish is an improvement. And finally, early versions of Lediba, and Silver as a bonus. Look how cute he was! And now, my honorable mentions are all from the alpha version of the whole Pokemon franchise, back when it was just a concept called Capsule Monsters. We see here on the pitch book cover 2 monsters battling it out, and what became the iconic Gengar and Nidorino battle. We see early versions of Rhydon, who is the first Pokemon ever created. Here is a battle between prototype Blastoise and Staryu, and what became Lapras. It's always fun to see how iconic imagery was carried over to the final version even when the Pokemon themselves weren't even final. But here's another bonus of a prototype Poliwrath. He was definitely not a fighting type yet, and it's cool to see that a concept of a crown carried over to the idea of Poliwhirl evolving using a King's Rock. But obviously that was given to Politoed. And my number 1 favorite rejected, unused and or beta Pokemon is Latican. This early image from Ruby and Sapphire's development depicts a creature similar to both Latias and Blaziken. The design itself is more related to Blaziken, but the concept probably went on to form Latias' design. And this official Sugimori artwork was released after the games were launched. The female trainer probably inspired this female trainer, as well as the whole scene in general. But that's all for this video. Of course, if you enjoyed, please give this video a like and consider subscribing if you haven't already. Maybe follow me on Facebook and Twitter and I could show you some more prototype Pokemon over there. But for now, I'll see you guys very soon.